You know how I complained last year how sidewalks are in horrible shape here? Like uneven, broken down, man. I wonder if the same logic that I heard that the city doesn't plow the sidewalks here. Is maybe the supposedly owners of the nearest properties to the sidewalks have to do it? Maybe they would even get sued if somebody... Can you imagine the amount of money that goes through this part of Canada because of industry? It's funny, on CBC they say economic turmoil or hardships. And what they're talking about is capitalism, right? Which benefits the elites and the would-be elites. But, I mean, do you think an owner can fix the sidewalk in front of their building? That costs a lot of money. And it would be done all in different increments. It would end up being weird. But that's kind of the way things are. I spent about 45 minutes this morning shoveling and salting around the building where I live. And I did get one thank you, but not from a lot of the people that are still kind of clueless, you know, and don't ask for help, and some are just still very hatred-filled and toxic-filled, and some refuse help when I offer it, just so they can say later on how they complain that, you know, everything they do around there and by themselves to make these parties, and, well, and then say, oh, we lost the nicest person in the building. Yeah, you didn't learn anything from her because you're the polar opposite. So try to create community, people, and try to appreciate me, you know, when I help around. But I don't help as much, and I'm not going to keep helping more. I'm going to do what I feel like doing because, you know, this is a landlord that still wants to increase the rent when I've already written a letter of how they're overcharging me, and I gave only a few arguments as to why, not even many of them. And this building is getting dirtier inside and outside. You know, when people don't make an effort to lift the bin of the garbage, and they leave it there, and then their garbage is all over the place because of the ravens again, and I have to shovel the snow full of their garbage towards my motorcycle or the ditch. You know, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. They can't ask for help. They can't say thank you. They can't solve simple problems because it takes effort. So what they do is they vote conservative. So, yeah, there are very few sidewalks that are shoveled here. And the city truck that was plowing this morning is going super fast, but only keeps going in the middle. Won't slow down and do the parts without cars on the side of the road, which there are plenty of. That's the effort people with jobs put in. Yes, I'm the common denominator. I'm the guy that notices the reality of the human condition and talks about it. I wonder if that article I wrote for the competition really gives me a chance to win when I describe honestly the reality of the human condition. And I'm listening to these other authors talking on CBC, and, you know, they're afraid to actually talk about what I talk about, how we failed as a species in their own things, because then as elites in the writing world, they'll be asked why they said that and all this, and they'll be uncomfortable, right? So will they, if they are some of the ones in the final committee to choose topics and subjects and articles that should win? I mean, I put it under the fiction category, but it's really about the reality of the human condition with some aliens thrown in that you know very little about. And will it win? Do people want to hear about this stuff? There's a sidewalk here somewhere. And the guy who owns this pretty much bought it for himself. He's got another business in town. And again, I had approached him at the beginning. I might try again. He said, I'd like to run community programs here. Things that are needed. Anyways, speaking of CBC again, I turned on the radio this morning, crappy rap music, find out it's, I think, the 5th, and then I listened to the top 5 Canadian artists, and it just reminds me why I'm not interested in in new music for like more than a decade now. And I'm hearing these three guys that are multi-gendered. I don't know why I'm saying this like this. It's just that I know nothing about them. But if they're not doing beaver shite about what they claim is so great about these artists or the music, then the alternative is they haven't undergone the maturation process. So it's kind of sad that that's the music of today and what is supposedly impressive. Things with so much repetition in the lyrics. Things about breaking up, but nothing of value or philosophical or mature about the lyrics about it. But somehow, what a brave person to talk about a breakup. I don't know what it is, but it's pretty sad, the human condition. And then the King Charles, I still have to practice his accent. I'm not going to do it till I practice, but he's saying the things we have in common is faith. And yet, because of faith, which is religions, it's not really the concept of faith psychologically speaking, is yes, you have intellectual laziness in common, and it's growing, and it's preventing you from undergoing the maturation process, from developing human thinking tools so you can really have peace. And you're still hearing in the news how some attacks were planned on Christmas, some went through, some didn't get through. And it's worse than World War II, right? Because we didn't learn anything from that time about what peace has to be manifested from, right? It's not from more weapons. It's not from ridiculous people in elite positions saying ridiculous things, right? It's deciding to say, hey, you know what? We're screwed up as a species. We failed. And that's the first foundation of a conversation about ourselves we need to have if we are going to have a tiny bit less war for our kids and grandkids that we claim to love. But if you listen to really the news in an objective way, we have devolved since World War II, where we were clueless about the destruction of weapons back then. And we should know more, except we've made more dangerous weapons since then, and we've put them in the hands of even more irresponsible people. And we don't talk about this. So this is the reality of the human condition, and I have to listen to it on what they call Boxing Day, which is about consumerism, and it has nothing to do with community. When you can't get a thank you, and you can't get an appreciation, and you know, when I leave here, and I will eventually, and at that point, they'll say, oh my God, you got jobs now, and friends, and people that like you. Well, I also did when I left Vancouver Island, but I live by human standards. There's more I can do. Even if I never find a community that lets me do more, and I never find anybody who wants to really get to know me and appreciate me as who I am, I still got to keep trying. Because, you know, it doesn't look like I'll get the gift of mortality anytime soon. So anyways, enjoy your denial in your fictional world that you live in. But some of us have grown up and we kind of notice the real patterns. Speaking of which, where I live there's such irresponsible, childish, addicted, personality disordered people that I worry about fires living there too. So, you know, whether the rent goes up or not, it's a matter of time before really bad things happen where I live, and how they were preventable. But again, it required human thinking tools to prevent them.